Hi everyone, how are you going? I'm going to attempt to try and read some information I've got from the Department of DSS. So you can look this information up for yourselves on, what do you call it? Guides at dss.gov.au, Guide to Social Security Law, right? So, it gets pretty tricky and pretty complicated. But this is about basics card. Trigger payments for income management. 11.1.1.50. Trigger payments for income management basics card. Trigger payments. Okay, so I want to read this. Some of this is going to be a bit confusing and you're going to have to rely on me sort of like clicking around to explain it to you because I'm no good at explaining this sort of stuff. So under the VWPR, right, which is Vulnerable Welfare Payment Recipient, right, and VIM, which is Voluntary Income Management Measures of Income Management, a person must be receiving a Category H payment to be assessed as eligible for income management. They say you're eligible for it, you know what I mean? So, Category H payments are, all right, Social Security benefits, widow allowance, youth allowance, off-study payment, job seeker payment, special benefit, partner allowance, parenting payment partnered, Social Security pension, age pension, right, disability support pension, carer payment, parenting payment single, special needs pension. What I need to say here is they can use the vulnerable, the VWPR, they can deem somebody vulnerable to put them on it. So my concern with age pension is if you've got adult children on income management or the cashless debit card, right, you could, in theory, be listed as vulnerable because you've got access to your pension, and if you're a nice grandparent, you're going to want to help out your adult offspring and their grandchildren when they're missing out for things. So you're going to help them out by using your pension and stuff like that, and which is we've already found in the Hinkler region. I've had a lot of families trying to help card holders, and then card holders pay them back by buying their groceries for them or paying a bill for them. Do you know what I mean? So same with people on disability support pension. Basically, they could suggest elder abuse or you're vulnerable because they could make up anything, basically. We know they can make up anything. You know what I mean? So under the AB study scheme, it includes that as well, but it's an amount that is identified as a living allowance or a service pension, all right? Age service pension under Part 3 of the VEA. The VEA is the Veterans Entitlements Act 1986. I did look up Section 3, right? Okay, so you've got age service pension, right? Invalidity service pension under Part 3 of the Veterans Entitlements Act, partner service pension, and carer service pension. Income support supplement and Defence Force income support allowance. Okay, so these are Category H payments. Right, under the disengaged youth and long-term welfare payment recipient measures, a person must be receiving a Category E payment to be assessed as eligible for income management. I mean, you could be eligible for it, but it's compulsory. You know what I mean? You don't get a choice. So under the Cape York, we'll deal with the Category E payments are youth allowance, job seeker payment, special benefit, parenting payment single, and parenting payment partnered. Right? Under the Cape York Welfare Reform, a person or their partner must be receiving a Category P or Category R payment to be assessed as eligible for income management. Okay, so I'm going to go to the Cape York trigger payments page now, because it gets very interesting with Cape York. An individual is subject to income management under the Cape York Initiative, right? Social Security Admin Act Section 123 UF if the individual or individual's partner is an eligible recipient of either Category P or Category R welfare payments. So Category P is widow allowance, youth allowance, off-study payment, job seeker, special benefit, partner allowance, and parenting payment partnered, along with disability support pension, parenting payment single, and special needs pensions, and the payment under ab-study includes an amount identified as a living allowance. Okay. Category R payments, aged service pension under Part 3 of the VEA, which is the Veterans Entitlements Act 1986, right? An invalidity service pension, a partner service pension, a carer service pension, or an income supplement under Part 3 of the VEA, right? And it also includes DFISA under Part 3 of the DVA. DFISA is the Defence Force Income Support Allowance. Okay, so, but Cape York gets even more interesting. A person will also be subject to income management under the Cape York Initiative if they have a payment nominee who is subject to the Cape York Initiative, and the person is not subject to an income management measure in their own right. The principal does not have to meet any eligibility criteria to become income managed under this measure, other than to have a current payment nominee who is being income managed under the Cape York Initiative. If the person was on voluntary prior to their nominee being placed on the Cape York measure, the person can remain on voluntary. Okay? So, it's really, it is very complicated. It is very complicated. So, the Social Security Administration Act Section 123 UF is persons subject to income management regime, Queensland Commission. Policy reference for SS Guide 11.1.4.20 excluded 3B payment nominees under income management. So there's more to this, and I need to find it, because last night I was reading more about this, and I need to find the link, because it's also a situation where they can put your partner on the card if the partner is working but only receiving family tax B. Okay. And I've just got to find the right connection for it, because they had an example, and I'm trying to find it here. It's complicated to work your way through their stuff, and as soon as I find the other thing, there was I'm trying to find it, and it seems to have gone. Last night I was looking at this, and what worried me about it was the Cape York welfare, or the Cape York system, is totally different. But when we're looking at the other income managed changes, okay, it doesn't specify Northern Territory only, right? But what it does do is Section 11.4.120 People income managed under the VWPR measure conditions. So those that are deemed vulnerable, a person is subject to income management under the VWPR measure if at the test time the person is an eligible recipient of a Category H welfare payment. So I explained all those before. A person's usual place of residence is within a specified income management state, territory or area. The person is deemed to be a VWPR. If the person has a payment nominee, the nominee is not an excluded payment nominee. The person is not subject to income management under the Cape York supporting people at risk or child protection measures. So again, policy references in regards to identification of VWPR. Let's have a look there. All right. And it takes you into indicators of vulnerability, determination process for VWPR measure when a person meets the V. So this is, oh my God, youth triggers. It leads you into a rabbit warren, right? And this is what concerns me. It's a big rabbit warren, which needs to be more investigated, okay? So what concerns me is an income managed area, because they're not stating these changes are purely for just the Northern Territory. Specified states, territories and areas for the VWPR measure. The following areas are specified income management areas under the VWPR measure. The whole of the Northern Territory, South Australia, Playfoot, the Ananangu Pitjantjatjara, Yankunytjatjara APY lands as defined by the Anangu Pitjantjatjara Lands Act 1981, Ceduna and surrounding region, New South Wales, Bankstown, Queensland, Rockhampton, Livingston and Logan, right? Victoria, Greater Shepparton, Western Australia, the Yangatari lands, the Shire of Yangataraku and the community of Kitikura in the Shire of East Pilbara and Laverton Shire. That's really weird because Laverton is on the cashless debit card already. So where I can, I'll put up the links, but I'm just very concerned about these Category H payments, which now all include ex-service personnel, pensions, part pensions, support payments, old age pensions, right, for basics card in the basics card areas. So I wasn't sure whether to do a live on this or whether to speak about it yet. It needs somebody who can pull it apart a lot better than what I can. And it is very, very confusing. Okay. I want to be able to talk to some senators next week about this as well, so that we can get some clarity on it, so that I can try and break it down into English better for you, because I think, yeah, it's a concern. It's a big worry what I see here. You know what I mean? Category H payments include age pension, disability support pension, carer payment, parenting payment, single, special needs payment. So if they're saying that this could be, that's just they can entrap people on the age pension by claiming they're vulnerable. The same with disability support pension. Disability support pensions in the regions, right, are already on the cashless debit card anyway. So it looks like, my question is, outside the Northern Territory, the basics card is for those on job seeker and youth allowance only, under the age of 22 or under 25, right? Whereas in the Territory, people on basics card are on all these payments, and they have been for 13 years, right? And some people are on the basics card in their 80s, okay? But there's nothing here to tell me that this specifically only applies to the Northern Territory. When you look at the other page, which is 11.4.1.20, people income managed under the VWPR measure are all basics card regions. Okay? It doesn't clarify. So I'm trying to think. I'm going to have to go through some of these other reference, because you've got declared it's very complex. There's a lot more work to be done on this. Do you know what I mean? I've got, and it's I normally have somebody else that would be able to help do this a lot better than what I'm doing it. But I'll muddle my way through because we need to understand this more. But for people who don't understand what it is, I'll put the main link in the comments when I'm done, and I'll try and add all the links so that people can read it for themselves and they can follow all the information and the links. You tend to go to links by clicking on, they've got little highlighted bits, and you can go to the next lot. Do you know what I mean? Okay, so income management under the Cape York initiative for individuals and partners. This was a little bit that got me last night. That is, which sets out the circumstances in which an individual is subject to income management under the Family Responsibilities Commission. Contemplates income management of a partner of an eligible recipient of a relevant welfare payment receiving category P or R, which only apply to Cape York, okay? Which they just give them different codings for different regions. So P and R are for Cape York. Category H and E are for outside the Cape York region, Northern Territory, Playford, Logan, Bankstown, Shepparton, Playford, Gladstone, and Livingston, wherever that is. So what intrigued me, I saw about this, was there is a provision in the Act which means that the welfare payments, such as baby bonus, well, that doesn't exist anymore, or family tax benefit of employed persons could be subject of an income management notice by the FRC. This is specifically for Cape York, right? And only. Provided that this individual is the partner of an individual who is an eligible recipient of category P or R welfare payment. Why can't they just say an eligible recipient of a welfare payment in Cape York? That's too easy, isn't it? If a partner was subject to income management by virtue of their relationship to a category P or R welfare recipient, the delegate needs to take into consideration this relationship in acting on income management notice. Where an individual comes under income management regime because they are a partner of a category P or R welfare recipient, the delegate will need to closely monitor changes in circumstances relating to the partner's status. If the personal circumstances of such a person changes because their partner cancels the benefit or because the two individuals are no longer partners, there are a number of circumstances where the delegate will be unable to continue to act on the income management notice. So the example they give, George is in a relationship with Jane. Jane receives a category P welfare payment, which means that George is subject to income management. If George becomes single, the delegate will be unable to continue to act on the original income management notice. If the individual subject to income management by virtue of their relationship becomes a new relationship with an individual who's not on a category P or R welfare recipient, the delegate is unable to continue to act on the original income management notice. If the individuals subject to income management by virtue of their relationship begins a new relationship with an individual who is a category P or R welfare recipient, the delegate must continue to implement the original income management notice. So, if you split up because you've been put on a basics card because you were partner to somebody who was on a social security payment for that region, right? And that's the only reason why you've been put on it, because if you're getting any part payment yourself or... so in other words, you can get put on the card just because your partner's put on the card. If you split up, then you can get off the card if you're working. But if you go into another relationship with somebody else, right, the delegate must continue to implement the original income managed notice. You get put back on the card. So basically, what are they trying to do? Split families up and stop people from getting together? Because if you've got a working person who receives family tax B, then they're going to be income managed on it. That's my understanding. Look, it's... as I can, I will get through this and try and nut it all out for people. I want to make some phone calls early in the week to clarify some things, because there is no mention of, you know, why all of the areas outside Northern Territory will be subject to the same. So they're bringing all of the basics cards into line with the Northern Territory, which means that they'll go on to people that are up to, or including age pension and service pensions. And, you know, in Playford, there'd be a lot of people in that situation. People that thought basics card were only for the young ones could get a rude shock, end up with a basics card in your letterbox and your payment's 50%. You know? So, yeah, I don't get what they've done. All I can do is put up the main link and then and try and put up what links I can for you guys to read. But really, I need to be able to talk to one of the other party's policy advisors to be able to help me understand this better, so that I don't get it wrong, but I make sure that you guys get the correct information. You know, because we've got to have the correct information. But this has been bugging me since yesterday, since I went through it. And it's like, what? Yeah, we know that income management is in Playford and Shepparton and Logan and Bankstown and Gladstone and Livingston, wherever that is. And the APY lands in South Australia and community lands in Kununurra. But what I'm trying to get to the bottom of is, has the age cap been taken off of the basics card holders outside the Northern Territory in order for them to be able to list these people as category H payments and then put them all on it? You know what I mean? I mean, with the age pension and the service pensions, invalid pensions and the disability support pensions, they use the vulnerability aspect, which, you know, yeah, we do know there is cases of elder abuse. I don't think income management is the way to deal with it. And we've always had all these services in place. You know what I mean? So, yeah, this needs more investigation. It's bigger than what I can do at this time of night on a Saturday night at the moment. And I will keep you guys informed as I get to the bottom of it. Because I don't want to scare people and I don't want to give people the wrong impression. The questions I want to know is, are they extending the parameters of the basics card outside of the Northern Territory to encapsulate people of all ages, up, you know, and the old age pensioners and the service personnel. Now, they swore black and blind, you know, that DVA wouldn't be on it. Well, the DVA isn't on it, but the VEA is, which is the Veterans Entitlements Act, Part 3, you know what I mean? So, yeah. I just want to find that out first, because Northern Territory has always been all payments, right? And yeah, we need to find out, does this lift that cap on the age limit for outside the Northern Territory, and then open up the ball game to everybody in a basics card region to be put on it. So basically supercharging the basics card region and then playing the game of trying to get people to change over to the cashless debit card. I don't know. I do my best to try and find out for you guys. All right, so we'll see what happens. I will get the links here and I'll post them into the comments. You guys can read them and click on all the little blue links, right? So where it says VRM, click on that. That will take you straight to what that means. Do you know what I mean? At least they've done that. You can click on it. It takes and you can read all the information for yourself. But there's one section I haven't read yet, which has got quite a lot of information that I need to dig through. And at the moment, I need to have some sleep before I start doing that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So, all right, guys. Well, I'll say good night, and I will do my best to give you all this information. So, who knows where this is going, but we need to keep on top of these sort of things, because I'm looking at the dates of these documents that were reviewed in 11th. It could have been when I last went there or when somebody else went there. They usually give you release date 6th of January, version 1277. Social Security Guide, Guides to Social Policy Law. You can find all this on their sites. guides.dss.gov.au/guide Social Security Law 112310. So, yeah, I'll start with copy pasting what I can for you tonight, and then, but some of you will find your way through quicker as well. All right. Oh, wow. So we haven't normally sort of addressed basics card here, but with what happened with Cape York and what's happening with Northern Territory, we have to address the basics card issues in order to address the cashless debit card issues, because the whole lot needs to stop. This is just ridiculous. Okay, with the exception of the Family Responsibilities Commission basics card, right, if it's in its original form, which was put together by elders, community and family are in charge, not the government, voluntary income management, with a pathway to get off of it, because if the person entered into it, they were wrapped up with caseworkers and supports, which nobody else gets on income management of any sort, right? And then after 12 months, they could get off of it. And then if they felt themselves slipping, they could go back on it for 3 months and then they could come off it again. It was a tool to help them, but it was being managed properly by the FRC until Ian Truss comes along with the cashless debit card and starts interfering in their mix, right? It's a totally different program in the Cape York. You know, the government should never have intermingled the two programs, but we did say 5 years ago we could see this was going to happen, in order to replace the basics card with the cashless debit card. And we got laughed at. We got told we were scaremongering. But here we are 5 years later. And what's happening? I hate it when I know what's going to happen and nobody believes me. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, that's just the way it goes. We've got to fight with what we've got to fight with now. And that means standing in solidarity with people on the basics card. there's just some questions I need answered. Policy advisors need to help here, right? Senators, MPs need some. It needs to be clarified in plain English, so that I don't get things confused. As simple as that, you know what I mean? But from when you read it and you look at it, it looks totally different. So when you go onto Social Security Guide, you can find Family Assistance Guide, Parental Leave, everything, all the manuals, all of it, all the legislations. You can see what's new. On the left-hand side, you can scroll down for everything. It's got portability of comparable foreign payments, all sorts, Administration Provisions Acts, the works. So I'll put the link up and you can go through income management framework, Cape York, all of that, conditions that result in individual being subject to income management under the Cape York. You can go through the whole lot. It's all there. Yeah. So, it's the best I can do for you at the moment, guys. The only good thing about it is they do provide links to, so you can understand what the acronyms mean. Okay, and stuff like that. So, I will say goodnight and then I'll start listing what I can in the comments for you. And, yeah, what can I say? We won't know more until Monday or Tuesday, whenever I can get a hold of anybody who can actually explain some of the nitty-gritty questions I've got about these policies and about Category H payments outside of the Northern Territory. And I need to read, there is information about how somebody becomes eligible under the, what do you call it? The VWPR, vulnerable, so vulnerable welfare payment recipient. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to say goodnight, and it just doesn't look good at all. So, oh well, we'll nut it out throughout the course of the week, won't we, guys? And then we'll come to the end of it and we'll find out for sure. All right. See ya.